This is the Bethune-Cookman University Wildcat News Feed on Sirius XM, radio channel 142. HBCU, broadcasting from the Wildcat Lab in Daytona Beach, Florida. WELE 1380, The Cat. It's time to hear the good news from BCU.
Good afternoon and welcome to the BCU Wildcat Newsfeed, also known as #Talk Tuesday, the place where we get the real, raw, and relevant facts about what's going down on the campus of Bethune-Cookman University and HBCUs all around the world. I am your host, Franshawn Reed Barnes, and you are listening to WELE 1380 The Cat. Early on this year, we asked you all if there was a place for Black male excellence at HBCUs today. Today, we are interviewing the epitome of that, Mr. Elijah Stevens, White House HBCU 2017 All-Star, an academic scholar, and a server here at Bethune-Cookman University. So if you want to know more about how to excel at an HBCU and how he made his way to the White House as an HBCU 2017 All-Star, stay tuned. Here to help us tell his story today is Mr. Elijah Stevens. Welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I know our audience is so excited to hear from you and about your story and experience. So let's go ahead and tell this awesome journey that you have taken here at Bethune-Cookman University. So early on this year, you found out that you were named an HBCU 2017 All-Star. Can you tell us, how did you get there?
Well, I would say the whole coming into that position as an all-star was something that was cumulative over the years that I attended Bethune-Cookman University. So starting with my freshman year, when I came to the school, I wanted to get very involved. And so I started actually through music. I was a part of the music department, student council, and I actually was chosen to perform quite a lot. And I think the head of the music department would say that I actually performed the most as the freshman, and I actually was the only freshman that was chosen to perform for the President's Inaugural Student Showcase and the Academic Showcase. So I had a lot of performances music-wise, and so after, I would say, grounding myself within music, starting out in my sophomore year, I continued performing and everything, but I started to spread out into organizations. So I became the sophomore class vice president. I joined Model United Nations. I became Mr. Model United Nations. I was also a member of the Federation of Bahamian Students. I started as a regular member, then I went to being the chaplain, and eventually I went to being the president. And so once I became the president of the organization, I found a love, I found a calling, I found a passion for leadership and for leading others, like inspiring them toward a common goal and a vision. And so after that, I also became the president of Club International, and I was also a member of the concert chorale. I then also became a member of the symphonic band, and then I eventually got involved with the Office of Male Initiatives, where I did several other things.
Now, were you recommended for this position as an HBCU All-Star, or is it something that you had to apply for?
It's actually something that one has to apply for, and anyone can apply for it.
Okay, great. Now, before we get into your story of how you got here at BCU, I'm sure we have a lot of listeners that want to know, one, did you actually get to go to the White House? And then secondly, once you got there, what was it like going under the current president?
Yes, I did get to go to the White House. And I would say, I think for all of the HBCU All-Stars, it was some level of hesitation, I guess, moving into this position, understanding the current administration and everything. But we understand that it's still a great honor, and I think more than ever that we still need that representation and that leadership from the HBCU All-Stars. So
that's great. Now, I want you to tell us, Elijah, how did you get to Bethune-Cookman University, because you have such a great story about, triumphing and actually making it here.
Yes. Well, I actually was introduced to the school by my guidance counselor back in the Bahamas. I'm from Freeport, Grand Bahama, and her name is Miss Shervita Campbell. She actually attended the school, and her mother attended the school. So she told me that because you play an instrument, which is the piano, you would be able to get scholarships easier. So I remember just taking in what she said, and I applied for the institution when we had the representative from Bethune-Cookman University come to the college fair in Freeport. I submitted all of my materials, and so I found out later on that I was accepted. Now, during this time, I was applying for a lot of different scholarships in the Bahamas. So we had like many different scholarships, and I eventually found out that I was denied from all of them. And I thought at that point that I had very good credentials and everything, but I was denied from all of them. And so I remember actually getting into some dialogue to find out more about the program with the piano professor or instructor there. And so we got into some dialogue. I sent her some videos of me playing the instrument, and she told me that she liked them and everything. And I just began to explain my situation to her. I told her that, I do not have the scholarship monies, I do not have the funds, but I would love to be there. I really want to study with her. And so she did everything in her power, along with the head of the music department, to get me there. And so what ended up happening was we established an audition date for me to come to the university. And so at this time, I remember speaking to my parents. So I was still at home doing all of this emailing. And I remember speaking to my parents, and they told me, maybe you should stay home for a year and, work or save to go to school or attend the local college there, which was the College of the Bahamas. And I had remember hearing that story from so many other individuals. And I told myself that was not going to be my story. And I just told my mother, that she had to believe, that she had to have faith that, something would work out. And, I was raised in a home that truly believed in God, and was built on faith. And I had to be the one, to encourage my parents, because they didn't see it, after having applied, for there to be no monies coming. And so I still packed all of my stuff, and that was my faith. I packed everything because I just was like, if I'm going to school, I need to pack everything as if I'm going to school. So I packed all my stuff. I got on the plane. I took a flight to Orlando, actually, and so I caught the shuttle from Orlando to the school. And once I got there, that I was going there for my audition date. And so this wasn't no guarantee on scholarships. This wasn't anything. And so I went there to the school. I did the audition. The audition actually went very well. And I found out a few days later that I was accepted into the program. And so that was great, but there was still no word on scholarship money. So after that, I remember just crying to God, I need you to work this out, for me, because this is my dream. This is my goal. I want to further myself, and I believe that my future awaits me. I believe that my destiny is in me going to school. This is something that you have put in me. And so I remember after that, it was probably like 2 days later, I remember getting a message from my mother saying that I think it's time for you to come home. You've been waiting there, and things haven't worked out yet. And I just told her, still believe, still have faith. Something is gonna work out. And so at this time, all the scholarship deadlines had passed. It was looking like nothing was going to work out. But I remember when the email came through that my piano professor told me, you received 2 university scholarships and your tuition is going to be paid for. And so I was able to attend school, and school had already started. The scholarships deadlines had already passed, but it worked out. And so that was my journey of how I got to school, and that I'm studying here now.
Wow, that is a phenomenal, phenomenal story. And I've met you several times and never had an opportunity to hear that. And I'm so moved. You have such a great story of Black excellence and resilience. And I'm sure that there are many Bahamian students as well as Black African American male students that are listening. Can you share with them 3 tips in terms of getting to college or making it to college or overcoming adversity when it comes to getting to college?
Okay, well, I'm not sure if I'll put it exactly into three, but I'll just talk
Sure.
for a little bit. But I would say, first of all, don't ever take no for an answer. And that's something that I have learned and I have applied to myself in every area of my life. Don't ever take no for an answer. If there is something that you want to do, if there's something that you dream of doing, don't let your circumstance, don't let anything that you're faced with, don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do it. You go after it with everything that you've got. You seize every opportunity that comes to you. And when it doesn't come to you, find a way. You don't take no. And if someone tells you no, you find a way to get yes. You build that door when that door isn't already there. And so I think that's one thing that I'll say. I'd also say to have faith. Have faith in yourself. Believe in yourself. Know that, you can do it. And I feel like a lot of times, especially in our community, we may be raised believing or understanding that we can't do certain things, and so we box ourselves into a certain mindset or a certain frame of mind that I can only go this far, I can only do this much. And I just want to share that you can do anything. You really have to just allow yourself to believe that and to understand and have that kind of faith. And lastly, I would just say to start to even develop a relationship with God. And for me, that has done so much for me, and that it crosses every barrier. It crosses, every ethnicity and every, race. It will allow you to truly see yourself for who you really are.
That's great. Now, I'm sitting here looking at you, and you are a well-polished young man. You speak well, you're dressed well, and I almost know the answer to my question. I wanted to ask you, were you this polished when you got to Bethune-Cookman University? Did you look like this when you got to Bethune-Cookman University, or was it an evolution process?
Well, I would say that there was definitely qualities that I had that allowed me to stand out, but everything starts small. And so for me, right now, I wasn't already as polished as I am. I wasn't always like this, but it grew, it grew over time. And so I had a lot of the qualities that I had now, but it wasn't to this level or to this extent. It grew over time. And so I really think that being at the university pushed me in a lot of different ways. And not only that, but it caused me to come into a lot of who I am today, and it gave me that polish that you're seeing.
Looking at all of your roles and your accomplishments and your awards, it can be summed up by saying you are a leader. Can you tell those listening, African American and Bahamian students listening, what does it mean to be a leader and a student leader?
Well, I would say I think a lot of it goes back to what I was saying in terms of not taking no for an answer. I think I just would apply that in so many different ways. But I would say that you always will find a way, and you will always see success, even when there isn't no way. Like the odds are against you, everything is contradicting. You will find a way. And for me, a leader is a person who is able to motivate people, a person who is able to inspire people, and to lead them towards some common goal or some vision. And so I would say that's what a leader is.
Okay, great. Now, one time I saw you in the news, the Daytona Beach News Journal, you had actually just won the James A. Hefner HBCU piano competition.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and winning the award and how it's helped you or benefited you?
Yes, that was actually a really great time in my life. I have faced challenges musically, and even though it's something that I'm very passionate about, and a lot of people, would share that I'm very talented or very gifted in that area, and I know that I am, but I still have faced my share of challenges in that area, and I'm never satisfied, with what I've achieved. I always want more, and I always go after more. And so with those challenges that I was experiencing, at that point in my life, I was going through a lot of musical challenges actually, and that was something that really encouraged me, and that was something that really helped me feel closer to my dream of, becoming a concert pianist, of experiencing, performing on a world-class stage. And so that experience, competing against some of the other HBCUs, it just let me know that, like I was saying before, that truly anything is possible. And, I remember even, being nervous as I was there. And once I got on stage, I just allowed it to flow. I just went into my element and I just expressed myself on the stage. And I just feel like that played a major part in that. And also my piano professor was there who plays such a major role in my life. And I really honor her in what she has done for me. And she is an extraordinary musician and pianist.
Wonderful. Now, you are taking on a new leadership role at Bethune-Cookman by establishing the Bethune-Man Leadership Institute on campus. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that I want to say is that this is definitely a collaborative work. I'm working with the Office of Male Initiative and Student Affairs to establish that. And Mr. McKinney, Jermaine McKinney, who is the head of the Male Initiative on campus, is my mentor in all of that. And so the Institute, it aims to help incoming freshman students transition better into the university setting, but it also aims to develop character and to develop leadership skills. And so it works at, their attitude, their behavior, their communication, their discipline. And not only that, but it helps them get a sense of journey, a sense of vision, a sense of why am I here and what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And so we talk about purpose, we talk about potential, we talk about faith and determination. We talk about these same things, that I would say, because it was birthed in me, or it was a vision that I had for the university, a lot of it relates to my experience or my life and what I feel as a successful person, what I feel would help the students to become successful. And so, yes, like we talk about purpose, like I want them to know, why are you here? Who are you, and how do you come to find out that, and then their potential, them understanding that their potential is unlimited, they can do anything. And so it just builds upon that.
I like that because I feel like there are a lot of young men that come to college and they come just because they know that that is the next step, but they don't know how to excel well in college. And so having something like that at Bethune-Cookman University seems like it will really be a game changer for keeping men in school, but not only in school, but successful while they're here.
And can I just add, the image of what I have in mind for the Bethune-Man Institute to do is that in the community and in the minds of pre-college students and elementary students, that they would begin to see the Bethune-Man as the man they want to be.
Wow.
As the product that comes from this university.
That's deep. That is deep. I like that. The Bethune-Man. Awesome. Now, I heard you were an author and you were writing the Bethune Manual. What inspired this?
Well, it's the same thing that inspired the Institute, because they started, well, I would say they started from the same thing. So it was just, I think, me seeing a lot of uncultivated potential on campus and seeing a lot of things that could be better. And I know that we have some programs that are doing some wonderful things, but there's certain, I guess, groups of individuals that I just saw, they can be better, they can improve themselves, they don't have to be this way. And so I saw that, and I saw a role that I could play in helping to change that.
Give us an insight into the Bethune Manual. So if we don't have a book in front of us, give us maybe 2 pointers from the book, or 2 requirements to be a Bethune man.
Okay, well, one of them is about knowing your brand and knowing the brand of the Bethune-Man. So as that Bethune-Man, you cannot look just any way. you have to carry yourself in a certain way. You should always be presentable. You should always carry yourself, with respect, with dignity. You should be polite. You should be courteous. So that's one thing, knowing the brand that you carry. It's not just you anymore. It's about this brand. And I would say another thing that we're using actually within the institute and that we talk about in the manual is the Allison Model. It was something that I was trained under, and that was also something that inspired me as well, because I understand the importance of character and leadership development institutes, and I'm a product of that. And so we use the Allison Model so students are able to go through that and are able to understand, what is inclusive community building, what is mentorship, what is multicultural appreciation.
Now, has the book been published yet?
Actually, we're going through the final stages of publishing it through the Bethune Press, so not yet, but it's almost there.
Okay, do you have an expected date, or will that come out later?
That will come out later.
Okay, wonderful. Now, for all of our guests that have enjoyed hearing your story and the great message and pointers that you have delivered during our interview, can you tell our audience where can they follow you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at book_of_Elijah, and on Twitter at Elijah Stevens, and Facebook you can follow me at Elijah Stevens as well.
Wonderful. Now, would you go ahead and close us out like you are with a special message to Bahamian or African American young men and the parents or guardians that are responsible for raising them before they get to Cookman?
Absolutely. Well, I've started something recently where I've been doing motivational messages, which any of our listeners would see if they go on to the page on my social media. And something that I said on one of my most recent ones was, if your environment isn't what you want it to be, if it isn't something that is going to cause you to go where you want to go or become the individual that you want to be, then make your environment a product of you. Don't allow yourself to be a product of that environment. So I would say that.
Wonderful. Well, you have heard it here first from our HBCU 2017 All-Star here on BCU Talk Tuesday, also known as the Wildcat Newsfeed. Please join us next Tuesday as we get more real, raw, and relevant facts about what's going down on the campus of Bethune-Cookman University. I am your host, Fran Sean Reed Barnes, and I will see you next week.